Hey, what's up guys, it's ElasticSpyder here, and in today's video we are looking at not another community replay, unfortunately. Now it is Saturday and we're supposed to be doing a community replay, but we are not able to. Now I'll get to that more in a second, but first I want to mention what we're going to be going over in this video. So in this video we're going to be going over the the three different new clan battle rental ships. So that would be the Gearing, the Moskva, and the Conqueror. So with that said, let me explain myself for a second here. So normally what we do here on BIA is me and Sneaky Snake, we usually switch off every week for community replays. Now this week in particular was supposed to be Sneaky's week, and that's fine. However, over the last week, Sneaky has been having severe computer issues, and he's tried various things from resetting his computer, wiping a drive, installing new Windows. Nothing really worked until that last one, installing a new drive, and that didn't happen until I think Wednesday for him. And of course, as you may know, the patch came out on Wednesday. So by that time, Sneaky didn't have any time to record or look at any of the community replays. Well, I should say he didn't have time to record them because he was dealing with the computer issues for obvious reasons. And you might say, well, then why didn't you do it, Spider? Well, let me explain myself. As some of you may know, I'm a rather busy college student, and during the week I have no time to play video games and certainly do YouTube stuff. So with that said, I was not able to record any videos before the patch hit. So and there's some very nice games I saw. There was, let me look here. I know there's a Des Moines replay that was like 255,000, which looked like a stellar game, and then as well as another Alsace replay which had 6 kills and 2800 XP and a lot of medals, and as well as some Gajamata and a Minotaur. But however, unfortunately things happen and we weren't able to get any community replays done, and we couldn't get any before the patch because people are also busy. So unfortunately we're just gonna put that aside, and we're going to be looking at these 3 new rental ships, and I'll try and do this in a somewhat quick manner. So the Gearing, what is the Gearing good for? The Gearing is good for, it's a great torp boat, and it also is a great cap contester. And we're talking just in clan battles, because these ships are only playable in clan battles. And to get these ships, all you have to do is just play one random battle of tier 8 ships and higher, and then you'll get these ships. With that said, the Gearing is a great cap contester. It has great torpedoes and has a quite good HP. Some of the downsides of it, of course, are its maneuverability. It can be somewhat lackluster. The fatness of the Gearing, the fatting, I guess you could say. It does take a lot of AP pens from like battleships and even cruisers at times, so that is probably one of its biggest problems. With that said, let's get a little bit deeper into the statistics of the I guess vehicle or ship. So hit points 19,400. You can obviously increase this with the perks like Survivability Expert, which I would recommend, especially in clan battles. So that is something you can get. So decent HP. Artillery's got these 127mm dual purpose guns. Of course, we won't be using the dual purpose aspect of these guns since clan battles has very little use for AA, but these guns do fire out to 11.1 kilometers, and the fire chances are, well, it's a destroyer, so expect very little fires, and especially in clan battles, unless your team is very confidently winning the game, you really shouldn't be shooting your guns all that much in a destroyer. Now, with that said, what you should be doing in Destroyer is torping the living crap out of the enemy team, and that's where the Gearing kind of does shine. These 16.5 kilometer torpedoes are very nice for those longer range torp drops, and especially early game too. A lot of times there's a lot of Yu Yangs that like to do this, and they have to get a little bit closer to the enemy to be able to drop their torps. However, their torps are a little bit more stealthy than the Gearings, which have a detectability of 1.4, as you can see. But that extra range and the ability to hit destroyers, whereas the Yang can't, that does add a little bit of versatility. You know, if there's a destroyer trying to rush cap and you are able to get your torpedoes out fast enough and actually clip a destroyer or a cruiser of sorts, that is all the more beneficial to your team. With that said, these torpedoes are long range, and they do have a rather long cooldown of 136 seconds. Of course, you can get that down, but you also do sacrifice some other features of your torpedoes and your ship. Torpedo speed 66 knots, quite good. AA, we're not going to worry about that. Maneuverability 36 knots, not the fastest, but certainly not the slowest. Actually, it might be the slowest, but if you're not really chasing down anyone in a gearing in clan battles, it's a lot of bump spotting. So you're gonna go in, maybe take a shot or two at another destroyer, and then kind of bump out, smoke, do whatever you have to do to get out. So maneuverability isn't that, or speed isn't that important, but it's still important. Rudder shift time a little bit slower, 3.3 seconds, but kind of in the middle of the pack still. So. That's maneuverability. Concealment, of course, it's going to say 7.6 kilometers by sea, but of course you can get that down to 5.9, which is of course nice. Now, you don't outspot things like the Yang, however, you do have the same concealment as Shimakaze. You do outspot a Cab and a Grozovoy, as well as a Z52 at by I think 2 kilometers. Or 0.2 kilometers, 0.3 kilometers, so you do have a little bit of advantage there, but for the most part, I've seen a lot of gearings and Yangs for the most part. So with that said, let's move on to the Moskva. So with this ship is good for, I would say, pushing potential and holding a cap. Now, as well as long-range engagements. Now, of course, you can equip radar, and I don't know if you even have a choice not to equip radar. No, you have to take radar. So, you have to take radar. You do get 11.7 kilometer radar, which is very, very nice, and that allows you to, spot things on caps and just spot destroyers early game, or things in smoke if that's their prerogative. So that is something very nice, and the other nice thing about the Moskva is its overall tankability. Of course, when you see its side, its Citadel, take a look here. Its Citadel, if we remove all this stuff, is quite high in the water. You can see, wow, that's like most of its hull is Citadel location. So that is, of course, going to be a problem for the Moskva. But if you get a Moskva in this position where it's bow on, or even angle a little bit, it can be quite strong. Of course, things like battleships can blop this, but certainly it is a lot harder to blop this thing than, let's say, a Des Moines. So with that said, survivability 65,400 hit points, the highest tier 10 cruiser HP in the game, which allows you to do some crazy things at times. Artillery gets these 220mm guns, 10.3 second reload. Obviously, you can get that down, but the dispersion value is pretty good. The main thing about the Moskva is its great AP penetrating potential, and you can see that with the 985 meter per second shell speed and 5800 alpha damage on this AP shell. It is quite devastating if you can get broadsides of cruisers and actually citadel them. However, the HE is still quite good, 3100 damage and 17% fire chance, quite good. And you got more than enough range. You probably don't even need to run range mod. You can actually run a reload and get that reload time down further. AA, again, doesn't matter. Maneuverability wise, 34.5. It is quite slim, so it does have pretty good pretty good speed, I should say, for a tier 10 cruiser. Of course, from my experience, when people play the Moskva, it's a lot of kind of reverse, get to a position, get there fast enough, and kind of move back and forth between that position and cover. So the speed doesn't matter all that much. It's more of the acceleration. And the rudder shift, for the most part, again, you're hiding near islands, so you shouldn't need the rudder shift as much per se. But of course, it does, since it is a quite large ship, it does have somewhat lackluster rudder shift. Concealment is, of course, one of the Moskva's weaknesses. 18 kilometers base, and you can't get that down to 13, 14 kilometers. So it's not the worst, but for tier 10 cruisers, it is certainly the worst. And you are definitely getting outspotted by things like the Conqueror, which we'll talk about in a second here. So again, good things about the Moskva: a lot of HP, good guns, and it does have a lot of HP. I just said that, but and the armor is quite good, and of course the 11.7 kilometer radar. Bad things about the Moskva: well, it's big, so trying to conceal this and keep this thing alive. As I mentioned, the very large citadel is, of course, always going to be a problem for you. So you have to do a lot of micro angling at times. So just so you guys are aware of the strengths and weaknesses of this ship, let's move on to the last ship, the last rental ship, and it is the Conqueror, or well, the OP ship at the game, I guess you could call it. So the Conqueror, what is the Conqueror good for? Well, the Conqueror is good for a few things. Well, it's got a super heal, and that's kind of the specialty of the British high tiers, 9 and 10 battleships, as well as the cruisers too, at the higher mid tiers and the late tiers. So you do get that super heal, which is very great. You can get a Conqueror down to 10k HP, and then he just hits his anti-death button, his heal button, and he goes all the way back up to 50, 60k HP. So that is, of course, one of the strengths of the Conqueror. Adding on to that is its guns. Now, there's two setups you can use. From my experience, I haven't actually played the Conqueror, so I don't know from my personal experience. But from what I heard, a lot of people use these 419s because you get a good reload, and I think you get a better fire chance. Let me actually see here. So you do get higher fire chance with the 457s, but you do lose some HE shell speed. You do get some alpha damage, but let's see. But you do only get, what was that, 8 guns? So you only get 8 guns versus 12 guns on the 419s. So I don't think the the increase in fire chance from the 419s to the 457s actually benefits you compared to the more guns, because you also have to think about is dispersion, and dispersion isn't the best when it comes to the Conqueror. So, but it does get very nice alpha pen and alpha damage. So these are all very nice things about the Conqueror, and it's quite low in the water. The Citadel is nearly impossible to hit. Like, look at that. You have to go under the water, and if we start adding some 406mm armor belt, like, good god, and then another 279. So this ship is quite difficult to Citadel. From my experience, I think I've only heard it being able to be Citadeled basically at long range when it's turning, and that's assuming that it's spotted. So it's a lot of pain in the butt to deal with at times. So with that said, let's get into survivability. 82,900 hit points. Now this ship is lacking in terms of things like the Curvers that have over 100,000 HP, so almost 20% differential there, or 20k HP differential there. 20% I guess works as well. Armor, we already went over the armor. The armor is great on this I almost said tank, but this ship. So survivability, and of course with the super heal, you are one of the tankiest ships in the game at tier 10. Of course that does, you can, if you do take a lot of damage too quickly, you can die, and if everyone focuses you, you can also die. But the super heal just allows you to kind of escape death more than you should. Kind of already went over the main battery of this ship. It's got great HE shell damage, great fire chance, and its AP is still good. It's still a 420mm gun, so it does get 13,000 AP alpha damage. And well, when you're shooting at 24.3 kilometers, do you need any more range? So of course that's good. Secondaries, don't even use them. AA, of course, don't even use it. Well, although it is quite good base, you know, we don't need that in clan battles. Maximum speed 30 knots. A little bit on the slower side, even though it is relatively skinny. You know, 29.5 knots isn't the best. I believe the Montana can go over 30. Yeah, so we're looking at about 30 knots there. So, again, for the Conqueror, you're more of a longer range support ship / burning the living crap out of people. So this ship does go well with, you know, maybe a couple Hindenburgs or, you know, even a Zao. Since you guys are quite stealthy together. Rate of shift, well, it's a battleship, so 17.3 seconds isn't nearly as good as it could be. Speaking of the detectability, 15.7. We saw in the Moskva with the detectability 18 kilometers, and somehow a battleship has less detectability by 2.3 kilometers base detectability, which is nearly, that's just absurd. So that is, of course, the other strength of the Conqueror is it gets insane concealment. And even other cruisers like the Henri wish it had concealment like this. So that is something that is super useful on the Conqueror. If you take too much damage, you can always, you know, hit that heal button. And again, if you're still taking too much damage, just go dark. That's all you have to do, just go dark. And you should be fine in most situations. So with that said, that pretty much covers all three of these ships that have been released for the Clan Battle rental program. Now, Clan Battles is coming to an end. I believe there's only 16 days left, so that's just over 2 weeks left in the season. So if you haven't gotten your flag, like I have, so you better get on it. You better get on it quick. Or if you're not trying to get your flag, you just want to get some rewards. You know, whatever, be sure to start playing it a lot more, because you only have about 2 weeks left. So that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was useful, and again, I do apologize for not having community replay up. I hope this was at least enjoyable. I know it's been a lot of import stuff. I hope you're able to bear with me through the whole video. If you did, I hope you learned something. And anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day.